Hey, be gratefully. I think it's just gonna be you and me here, so we can have a chat. No, now other people are coming. We've got Pittsburgh, we've got North Atlanta, Chicago, forests of Azure. Azure? Where is that? I'm gonna have to look that up. Hey everybody. I was actually at home. You can tell I'm sort of in my not exactly jammies, but not far from it. And I was writing and was looking on social media and seeing how many people seem not to be understanding what just happened today with the shutdown. So I thought maybe I'd save you a lot of heartache if I came and explained what happened today. So if you haven't seen the news, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York, made an offer to the Republicans to end the shutdown today. And a lot of people started screaming on social media, that's it, the Democrats caved, Schumer caved, he needs to go, and so on and so forth. And that's not what happened. This was actually a really interesting move. That speaks a lot to where we are right now in this country after Tuesday. So let's go back to Tuesday when the President Donald Trump took a real shellacking in those off-year elections. The movement toward the Democrats was really dramatic. The fallout ever since then has been pollsters looking and saying, whatever got him elected in 2024 ain't going to do it again in 2026. And a lot of that going on. And what happened immediately after that was the Democrats, the very next morning, Wednesday morning, said, now it's time to negotiate. We've been telling you we wanted to negotiate all this time and you won't do it. And that's normally how one ends a shutdown, is through negotiation. But instead, what Trump has done is he has absolutely doubled down on the idea that he gets to control everything. So what he has done is he's been talking pretty much nonstop since then, since Tuesday, about the idea of ending the filibuster, by ending the government shutdown, by ending the filibuster. Now, what that means is the filibuster is a mechanism that you can use in the Senate. The House does not have one, for the very simple reason that all a filibuster is a refusal to stop talking. That's it. That's all it is. In the House, they had a similar problem, but it happened in the early 19th century. And so they made rules for when you had to stop talking. Well, the Senate never got around to doing that. So they have the filibuster, which essentially is, I'm not going to stop talking. And in order to force someone to stop talking, you have to have what you call cloture. It's a stupid word. Anyway, you have to have that, and it takes 60 votes for that to happen. That was really never invoked that much. And I'm not going to go into the entire history of the filibuster here. But in 2009, Mitch McConnell began to use it pretty constantly to stop the Democrats from getting any legislation passed. That was really, he really went anything the Democrats wanted to do, he filibustered, because by then you could just say you were going to filibuster. You didn't actually have to do it. So the issue with the filibuster for the Republican Party is that the filibuster essentially enables them to make sure the Democrats can't pass any legislation, whereas everything that they do care about, the financial stuff, the tax cuts and so on, can almost always get thrown into the very few kinds of laws that can't be filibustered. Things like budget reconciliation bills, for example, which is how the Republicans got through as much as they did in July when they passed what they call the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That was a budget reconciliation bill. So first thing on Wednesday morning, Trump said to the Republicans, get rid of the filibuster, end the shutdown, and then pass voter ID law, get rid of early voting, basically make it. And he said this is not me exaggerating. He said, basically, the Democrats will never win another election. But the Republicans don't want to do that. Like, why would they want to give up what is one of their central tools for making sure they can continue to put their agenda in place? And the Democrats have nothing comparable, because the whole point is the Democrats want to pass laws. The Republicans don't want to pass laws. So the Republicans left the meeting with Trump on Wednesday morning and said, not happening. I mean, quite literally said that to a reporter in the hall. We're not doing that. So Trump has continued to hammer on this, because if they get rid of the filibuster, he believes they will be able to pass legislation that will make him essentially able to do whatever he wants. Now, at the same time, a lot of the Republicans like the filibuster because it stops them from having to take really unpopular votes. because they can always count on the Democrats to counter things like, for example, ending all abortion rights, all the sort of cultural war stuff that they campaign on, but they don't really want to pass. So Trump is doubling down on this. You must do what I say. And at the same time, he has said, no, we are not going to talk to the Democrats under any circumstances, which, by the way, is bonkers. Nobody has ever done that before. With the possible exception, there's one possible exception I can think of, but that president had recently had a stroke. Anyway, Trump says, don't negotiate, don't talk. But here's the kicker. What the Democrats have asked for to give the votes they need to end the filibuster so that they can reopen the government based on, very little else, is they've asked the Congress to extend the premium health care credits, tax credits that support the Affordable Care Act markets. This has been the fight all along. Those are the tax credits that make it cheaper for people to buy health insurance on the Affordable Care Act markets, without which things are going through the roof, right? But here's the detail in that. 78% of Americans, I'm sorry, it's either 78 or 79% of Americans, including, I think it's 59% of Republicans, want those tax credits extended. This is not some crazy, we want to do something nuts. This is extraordinarily popular. People want this. And the Republicans have been saying, no, we want this continuing resolution that doesn't do that. It's not actually clean, by the way. A clean means there's nothing else added to it. There is some other stuff the Republicans added to it. For example, more security for Congress people. So it's already not clean. But so what happened today was that and just remember, the shutdown is the longest in history at this point, and it's really badly hurting the country. It's hurting the people who aren't getting SNAP benefits. It's hurting the people who have been furloughed from their jobs. It's hurting businesses who suddenly are facing the fact that the airlines, that the FAA has cut back on how many people can fly planes, and so cargoes aren't getting delivered, and so people aren't getting delivered right before Thanksgiving and right before Christmas, which is the biggest retail holiday of the year. I mean, this is really hurting the country. So what Schumer did today was he went to the Republicans and he said, listen, I'm telling you, I'm willing to negotiate. The Democrats are willing to negotiate because a lot of the Democrats are feeling the pressure, especially in purple districts, from their constituents who are like, end this stupid shutdown, right? So what he did is he went and he said, we will vote to reopen the government if you will accept a 1-year extension of those premium tax credits that will bring back down the price of healthcare. They're incredibly popular. There's no reason not to do it. That's all we're asking. You just do that. And there might have been some other small change in there, but you just do that and we're golden. Think about that. Think about what that looks like. So if, in fact, the Republicans said, oh, thank God, and voted for it, it's a win-win, right? The country gets reopened, people get their health care premiums back at a decent level, and we get a year for the American people to weigh in on how we actually feel about those premium tax credits. It's a win-win, right? What's not to like about that? The Democrats can say, hey, we're the ones who came up with a way to reopen the country. Yippee! Or what could happen is what did happen. The Republicans can say absolutely no way. This is an insult. I mean, they're using all that kind of language, which has squarely put them behind the shutdown because they are refusing to do something that 78% of Americans want, because they're not going to cross Donald Trump. So this idea that somehow Chuck Schumer caved and this was a bad thing for the Democrats, what he did, and I'm sure it's not attributable only to him, but what they did was they managed to frame this shutdown in such a way that the Republicans, it sort of heads I win, tails you lose. On the one hand, the Democrats would have gotten the credit for reopening the country. On the other hand, the Republicans are now responsible for the continuing shutdown because they're not willing to do something that 78% of Americans want, because they are trying to please a man who got shellacked in the Tuesday elections. So I always say to you, remember, think of think of politics kind of as a chess game. It's really important around the country right now that the Democrats do stand up, that they stop backing down and stop sort of trying always to get along. But that's not what happened here. This was not, people always talk about a kumbaya moment. This was not Schumer saying, okay, let's play nice together. This was the Democrats jamming the Republicans back after being jammed themselves for, I think is it now, how long has it been since the House has actually done anything? September 19th? I mean, I can't do the math. How many weeks is that? That's a lot of weeks. So if you're seeing on social media, everybody, I saw a lot of people saying everything we did on Tuesday was wasted. There's no reason to do it. The Democrats are, to try again. The Democrats are always caving. They've caved again. That's not what happened here. The Democrats didn't cave here. What they did is they used the leverage that we gave them on Tuesday to redefine what is going on with that shutdown and getting us closer to a place where the American people say, hey, we kind of would like health insurance and we would like the government to open. And those things cannot happen so long as the Republicans continue to take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has been bonkers since Tuesday. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. I can't tell you how this is going to end up. I can't tell you how the shutdown is going to end. But what I wanted to address tonight was this idea that somehow offering that deal was a back down from the Democrats, because it absolutely wasn't. It was a win-win in a way, but they definitely were bluffing. Not bluffing, that's the wrong word. They were holding all the cards. And they made an offer that the Republicans should have taken, and they didn't. And now they're going to have to deal with the fallout from that. And I expect this weekend is going to be absolutely lit, because at this point, the Republican Party is squeezed, and it's really angry, both at Trump, who's trying to jam them into ending the filibuster by doing things like challenging whether or not he has to do SNAP payments, which are also incredibly popular. So they're mad at Trump. They're also furious at having been put in this position. And there really isn't there aren't a lot of other directions to run at this point. So that's what was really going on. I'm sorry to jump in the middle of your Friday night, but don't go to bed tonight thinking that somehow you got betrayed, because the opposite is true. I don't know how it's going to play out, but that's what was really going on behind that offer. And that so far is how it has played out. My guess, well, I'm not going to say what I guess, but that's where we are. So don't doom scroll over that. And I will see you 10:30 tomorrow morning with Joanne talking about something else. Thanks for being here.